So what do we get? We get the perspective of socialist alternative, which is absolutely vote no. And why? Well, rank and file UPS Teamsters and workers strike back activists are saying vote no and escalate the fight for a strong contract. Now, this was published on the Worker Strike Back website. Worker Strike Back, as most people know here in chat, is an organization that was started by Shama Sawant. Go ahead, Reef. So call her what you like to call her.
What? Salami croissant?
Yes, salami croissant. I love it when you say that. That's very funny. We love her. She's an outstanding organizer from Seattle. She's much beloved in the lefty community, and she's been a leader in founding this organization. She's left the Seattle City Council to organize workers now nationwide in all different industries with this organization called Worker Strike Back that she's co-founded with Chris Hedges and some other folks. But not bombing some folks. We didn't torture any folks. We formed an organization with some folks. So what Shama and WSB is saying is that workers have been hit hard by inflation. Unions have their highest approval ratings in decades. Millions have been looking to the Teamsters negotiations with UPS and the potential for a massive strike that could bring business as usual to a halt and help build help rebuild a fighting labor movement. For months now, rank-and-file Teamsters have been organizing their coworkers, attending rallies and practice pickets, and talking to their community about the importance of this struggle. There is a basis for an all-out fight to win the contract UPS workers need, not a negotiated deal that's acceptable to UPS executives. Yes. On July 25th, the Teamster leadership announced a tentative deal with UPS. This deal now goes to the membership for an up and down vote from August 3rd to the 22nd. While the tentative agreement is better than the sellout contracts negotiated by the corrupt Hoffa leadership since 2002, it is insufficient to meet the needs of UPS workers in a time of increasing insecurity for working people. This is the big one. UPS made profits of $13 billion last year alone, on top of handing $10 billion to stockholders while driving down workers' living standards for decades. This contract fight is the chance to make up for the losses of the past 20 plus years. We can make huge gains if we continue the struggle. This momentum, huge. Well, we can make huge gains if we continue to struggle. We have to do it in Shama's voice.
Okay. Is that her voice?
Well, I don't do it justice, but I'm sure.
Or are you doing Apu from The Simpsons right now?
It's probably
like,
more.
Which one are you doing?
It's probably more.
Yeah,
like
it's definitely a bit.
Me imitating Hank Azaria.
Sir, that is culturally insensitive.
I apologize, Lord. I apologize to all the starving pygmies out in New Kid.
The actual fuck.
Yes, I'm sorry, Shama. You're welcome to come on the show and correct me anytime you want. Seriously. This momentum needs to be carried forward and escalated with a strike if necessary in order to win the best possible contract. And I don't know too many outlets, by the way, that will read this letter in full for their audience. So we love you guys, and we do stand in solidarity with the workers and the rank and file. During the pandemic, UPS workers were praised as working class heroes, essential workers who kept calm and carried on throughout the horrors of the pandemic. Did she really? Kept calm and carried on, like the t-shirt says. Really, keep calm and carry on. Okay, while the billionaires made super profits, we never saw a penny in hazard pay or any other form of compensation for this, and now we face historic levels of inflation and an ongoing cost of living crisis. The proposed contract is 5 years long, and it only offers us an average of $1.50 an hour raise per year. This doesn't make up for the skyrocketing prices of housing, gas, food, and everything else. There is language in the contract for a cost of living allowance, a COLA, automatic increases linked to the inflation rate, but it only applies to workers who've reached the end of their wage progression, and it uses a convoluted formula that pays far below the actual rate of inflation. How convenient. We need cost of living raises that are directly linked to the consumer price index, but built into every step of every pay scale. That's the only way to prevent any potential raises from being eaten up by inflation and to effectively represent a pay cut for many workers. Now, we've heard about this 22.4. Changes like ending the two-tier 22.4 job classification, requiring newly purchased package cars to have air conditioning, prohibiting the use of inward-facing cameras, and recognizing MLK Day as a holiday for UPS workers are improvements over the status quo, but they do not add up to the game-changing historic contract that Team OZ have claimed to win. Right?
Yep.
While union leadership says this contract will end the heated two-tier system, multiple tiers are already baked into the massive wage differential between full-time and part-time workers, between drivers and inside workers. The TA doesn't create 10,000 new full-time jobs, a strategic victory for UPS executives. Additionally, it opens the door to creating a new low-paid tier of part-time workers forced to use their own vehicles to get more hours. We should be fighting to end the personal vehicle driver classification altogether, not allowing UPS to expand it. UPS wants to use more cheap labor to get billions in profits, and we need to fight together against this attack on part-time workers.
Yep.
Now, at last year's TDU convention, Sean O'Brien said that the union should agree to Sunday working in order to keep up with the times. He was wrong to say this publicly without any consultation with the membership, because this sent a signal to UPS that he was willing to make this concession months before negotiations began. Now, despite the claim of Teamster leaders' press release that they gave zero concessions to the rank and file, the TA would allow exactly that, giving UPS the right to implement 7-day deliveries anywhere it chooses with only 45 days notice to the employees. That's actually in the TA, and she references where Article 26, Section 1E. The new language gives up the union's right to negotiate over this huge change, allowing it only for it to meet and try to resolve questions while agreeing not to unreasonably delay the transition to 7-day working. This enormous concession explains why UPS CEO Carol Tome said that this agreement gives the company the flexibility it needs. Significantly, the Wall Street Journal reported that the company isn't boasting about it, but we're told the agreement will allow more warehouse and delivery shifts on Saturdays and Sundays, which are currently understaffed.
Of course.
It is said currently,
You greedy dirtbag!
It is said correctly that the labor movement brought you the weekend, and now it is not the time to give up this historic gain, which was won through generations of working class struggle. Sunday working isn't keeping up with the times, it's going backward to the Victorian era. As workers organizing at Amazon have said, we work to live, we don't just live to work. And literally my wife used that phrase. We were at another family's house yesterday, and the husband is Brazilian. Shout out to Dennis if you're listening. Hi, Dennis. But my wife said to him, you know, in other countries, you guys really understand the work to live versus here where we live to work. UPS Teamsters should vote no and stop Sunday deliveries in their tracks. So here they're saying vote no and continue strike preparations. For all these reasons, WSB urges workers to vote no and join us in the fight for the contract we deserve. In the meantime, there's no reason why the union shouldn't continue practice picketing, strike plans, and community mobilization. On July 5th, UPS told the Teamsters they had nothing more to offer. It was rank-and-file Teamsters, drivers, inside workers, and part-timers all working to prepare for the possible strike, which created the pressure from outside the bargaining table to improve the TA. Yes, but it was also the pilots standing in solidarity. If the pilots decide that they're going to fly, even if these guys want to strike now because a TA was reached, it's over. A Teamster strike would cost the company anywhere from $80 million to $170 million a day, according to their own figures. In 2022 UPS, they made $13 billion in profits on revenue of $100 billion, and it expects to beat this again in 23. With record leverage to win a genuinely game-changing contract, a deep well of support from the working class public, and the wider labor movement watching closely, Teamsters should be fighting for all they can get, not just taking what's acceptable to UPS, and I will add to that letter, and the White House. Pussies.
Yep. Like if you're a union leadership at this point and you're listening or going to shaking hands with any of the administration, you are fucking up. Like, ugh.
Teamster leaders laid out a long process to discuss and adopt the tentative agreement, starting with discussions among regional leaderships, then going into discussions at locals, and finally into the hands of the members. However, with the TA now released, informal discussions are already taking place in every warehouse, break room, and parking lot. Organizers like TDU, which has had thousands of UPS workers attend meetings, should provide a structure for discussions on the TA and, more importantly, how to increase the pressure on UPS workers, if workers want to vote no and fight for more. You think Sean O'Brien's going to do that after he went and made a deal? He's now going to push every single bit that he can to get this through and to get the members to agree to this, even though it is not everything they want. So, if you're a UPS worker who wants to talk more about voting no and organizing to escalate the struggle to win the contract UPS workers deserve, are you listening, Joe? Get in touch with us. Workers Strike Back is hosting a public meeting that was today at 3 p.m. Eastern with rank and file Teamsters, Teamsters Mobilize, and Joe Allen, author of The Package King. Register there. So, what are the demands? And let's go over what the demands should be. A strong contract would include a base part-timer pay of $30 per hour. Forget 21, forget 23, forget 25, 30. Catch-up raises of 75 cents per year of service with a 5% annual part-timer wage increase and a 4-hour shift guarantee for all part-time workers. Right now, it's going to go up to 3.5. Making MRAs, market rate adjustments, permanent and equal across facilities in a local with contract raises and cost of living adjustments added on top. Take care of your people. You're making $13 billion a year. Paid maternity leave, not just rooms for new mothers to express breast milk while their newborns are in daycare. That's basically they're just, it's a pumping room. That's what
you mean the milking room?
That's right.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Inflation adjustments for pension benefits, at least 10,000 more 22.3 full-time combo jobs national.
Like a fucking scene out of Mad Max.
I would bump that much, much higher than 10,000. I'd make it like 50,000. $13 billion. You don't have enough drivers. You got these guys who are using their own personal vehicles. Hire more full-time and put them to fucking work and eat into your $13 billion in profits. Screw your profits.
Yep.
New hires to receive health insurance after 30 working days to be codified in the national agreement. I believe right now it's 90. And 22.3 should get full-time wages. There's no good reason why they should not get the same hourly rate as the RPCD, and we're doing all the hourly work and we have the same bills to pay. Yes. I mean, everyone is doing hourly work. It's just that the part-timers are getting fewer hours to do it in.
Yep.
Air conditioning installed in all delivery trucks without delay. So that's what our friends over at Workers Strike Back and TDU, who have apparently been handed some positions, but if they're fighting this hard, now is this controlled opposition so that they have control of both sides of the narrative? Tom Hall at Socialist Equality Party and WSWS would say yes. I'm guessing he would say yes. I don't know.